Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us at the Heritage Foundation. We're becoming the movie capital of the world in Washington, D.C. This will be our fourth event of that nature in the last month. We do appreciate your special attendance this afternoon for a very special showing. We, of course, welcome those who join us on the heritage.org website and remind our website viewers that they can submit their comments or even questions if they'd like during the screening via email addressed simply to speaker@heritage.org. And for all of those in-house, it is your task to check that cell phones and other electronic devices have been turned off as a courtesy to those in the room. It is my privilege to introduce the host for this afternoon's program, Dr. Lee Edwards. Dr. Edwards serves as our Distinguished Fellow in Conservative Thought, part of the B. Kenneth Simon Center for American Studies here at the Heritage Foundation. But on a day like this, he has a more important role, because he took the idea that his wife Anne suggested to him, I believe, over a breakfast table, of needing to have a memorial to the victims of communism, and is the chairman of the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. We were pleased last year to see that dedication. Thank you, Lee, for your work, and now the program is yours.
Well, thank you, John. Let me put it to you very simply, that we need more documentary films like The Soviet Story, which we're about to see. We need them because the full extent of communism's inhumanity to man is generally unknown. Most people do not know that there were 100 million victims of communism in the 20th century. Like the young Russian woman who typed the manuscript of Solzhenitsyn's The Gulag Archipelago, and who then committed suicide when the Kremlin banned the book rather than fall into the hands of the KGB. The public does not know that today, at this very moment, the communist parties of China, Cuba, North Vietnam, South Vietnam, Laos, and North Korea deny the most basic human rights and liberties to the people of those 5 countries. Oh, they know about the Holocaust, how Hitler and his henchmen killed 6 million Jews, and what has been rightly called the crime of the century. But they are unaware of an even greater Holocaust for which communism is responsible: the death of tens of millions of men, women, and children in more than 30 nations. And they don't know about the close connection between communism and Nazism, a major theme of the Soviet story. The French author and intellectual Alain Besançon has written that despite Nazism's inherently criminal nature, quote, communism brought about a more widespread and deeper moral destruction for 2 reasons. First, there was the obligation of the entire population of each country to internalize the new moral code in which evil becomes good and good becomes evil. And communism, unlike Nazism, had the time, several decades in most cases, to promote its teaching. Second, the confusion between common morality and communist morality was and remains deep-rooted. When the Black Book of Communism, published by Harvard University Press in America, reported that from 85 to 100 million had died through purges, famines, forced labor camps, and other means, a French communist responded that the deaths did not in any way tarnish the communist ideal. He could not see, Besançon wrote, that the communist idea had so perverted the principles of reality and morality that it could outlive 100 million corpses, while the Nazi idea had succumbed to the weight of its dead. We urgently need more films like The Soviet Story to set straight the myths and realities of communism. It's now my pleasure to call on His Excellency Andreas Piltavkovic, Ambassador of Latvia, to set the stage for the screening. The ambassador had an impressive academic career before joining the diplomatic corps, having studied at the University of St. Petersburg, the Beijing Foreign Languages Institute, the Hoover Institution at Stanford University, and Oxford University. What happened to Paris University? I don't know, Sorbonne. It should be in, or Harvard. Yeah, what happened to Harvard? Okay. Maybe next year. Before coming to Washington, D.C., he was the chief of staff to former president of Latvia, Vika Plēberga. Following the screening, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have a panel discussion led by the ambassador and the brilliant author and producer of The Soviet Story, Edwin Schnorra.